Most moving companies are still relying on phone calls and messy spreadsheets to manage your quote requests, and it's costing them business. What I'm going to show you in this video today works for most service companies, but for this video specifically, I'm going to use a moving company as an example. We recently moved ourselves, and the experience taught me that there's a lot to improve in this process. Many moving companies have a form on their website, but then the quote requests just sit in an inbox somewhere. No automation means slow response times, missed opportunities, and forgotten leads. The goal is to make sure that every quote request automatically becomes a deal and assigns the right sales rep, notifying them of this new deal. My name is Jasper. I'm a certified HubSpot consultant, and let me share my screen and show you exactly how to build this from scratch within HubSpot. By the way, this is the first video in a series that I'm doing. This is the first time I'm trying this as well, so definitely leave your feedback in the comments below and subscribe to the channel to get an alert when the next video gets released. The first thing we want to do is we want to build that form. So let's go to marketing here. Then we'll go to forms and we're going to create that form. So I'm going to use the legacy form editor here. We're going to click next. I'm going to use a blank template and I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually create that form. So let's have a look here. What are some of the things that we want to ask, right? So an email is definitely useful. We also want the first name, probably want the last name. And as you can see, like you can choose to add it at the bottom here or put it next to each other, which I think looks a little bit nicer in this case. We also want to ask for a phone number. So let's add that in. We do want to ask for like a move date and then the origin and the destination. So for these, I actually still need to create these properties. So I'll show you how easy it is to even create these properties while you're building out this form. Obviously, once you're set up in your HubSpot, you're going to have these properties available, but that's not the case just yet. So the first we want is the move date. So we need a date property and we're just going to drag that in here. And we're going to say this is a contact property and this is going to be the, let's call it the expected move date. And there we go, the property has been created. So it's easy as that. Do want to make this field required, and while we're at it, we also want the first and the last name to be required, as well as a phone number. Then the next one that we want to ask is a simple text field asking moving from, and then they can just type it out there. And then we'll also add one saying moving to, and we'll make these two required as well, because that's probably going to be very useful for a quote. And then let's use the message fields to ask for additional information. Also, let's put these two together as well. Looks a little bit cleaner, I think. So here for the message, we're going to change the label and we're going to ask, can you give us a bit more about how many items that we're moving? Okay, so then we have a pretty good form now. Let's call this moving quotes requests. And obviously, like depending on your business, you might want to ask even more questions here. Like you want to know like which type of move it is. Is it a residential move, an office move? Like these are all things that you want to know. So I would say the things that you would typically ask for from clients, even things that you would usually ask in the first conversation, those might all be good for your form. I also recommend that when you're building out these forms, always try to find this balance between the amount of leads that you want to receive through the website and the amount of information that you want to receive, because most of the time, the less information that you ask for on the form, the more form submissions you will get, because the barrier becomes a little bit lower. But this is our form now, so we're already set here. Next, we want to create a landing page that we want to put this form on, of course. Now, if you're building your website in HubSpot CMS, we can make this like a regular website page. If you're using a different platform and you want to easily spin up a new landing page, we can use the landing pages instead. From a technical perspective, this will put them on a subdomain and it's still branded for your business, but this allows me to quickly show you how this works. As you can see here, I'm working with the Clean Pro theme. I'll leave a link to that one in the description down below. But this is basically my favorite theme to use in HubSpot because it looks incredibly nice and it's very easy to work with. So I'm just going to look for a template here that I can work with. And I think this contact us template actually looks quite nice. So I'm just going to click use here. And as you see, like we can generate this page with AI even. I'm feeling a little bit more in the manual creation mood today. So I'm just going to click on create manually. And here you can see that we have our page ready basically. So I'm going to click here on the form side. This is something that's called the magic module. It's basically the module that does most of the heavy lifting in the Clean Pro theme. So you can already see how easy it is to work with this. So we're working in the second column here, and this is the form that we want to select. So we're going to go for the moving request here. I'm going to apply these changes and I'm going to see what this looks like. So as you can already see, this already looks pretty good here. I do want to change that text, so that's going to be right here. We're just going to simply say like, select the form below to receive your custom moving quote. And I'm doing all of this live, by the way, like I didn't prepare anything here, just to show you how easy it is to do all of these things and how flexible the system is. So we're going to save this. We could, of course, add some more information here. Like if we want to change this text, we can just click here. We can edit all of the text that we have here. So for example, let's say contact us for your move. And as easy as that, we can just change those things. Same goes for the information we have on the left-hand side here. I'm just going to use the information that we have here. So 1234 Awesome Street. I think that sounds awesome. So we're going to leave it as it is. Then we always do need to add a page title. So moving quote request is going to be our page title here. Here you can see like I haven't really set up a custom subdomain for this demo account. So it's just going to be this random HubSpot sites thing. But obviously in your account, it will be, for example, resources.movingcompany.com/quote request, let's say. So we can just do this quote request, makes it easy. Then we're also going to use the same title for the internal page name. So we know what it's about. And then we can publish this page. And now we can see just in a second here, we're able to actually go to this page. So this page is live. The form is live. As you can see, these required fields do need to be filled out. Also the expected move date. We have a nice form there to choose the date itself. And then we can submit. Actually, submit should be request quote, now that I think of it. So let's quickly change that. And when we're working with the Clean Pro theme, this actually allows us to change it right here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go here to edit, and we'll go to form content. And then here you can see the button text. And instead of submit, we're going to say requests quotes. Request your quotes. So it's better. I always like to be a little bit more descriptive with these. It tends to work a little bit better. So request your quote, we'll update that. And as easy as that, you can update the form, you can update the page, and just push those changes to your live website. So far, we have created the form already. We created a landing page to put that form on. That's live now. And next, we want to create the automation that will create a deal and alert the right sales rep to start working on this quote. Now, before we get started with this automation, make sure to sign up for my brand new HubSpot Excellence newsletter, which will be linked in the description below. And I will share my best secrets and how to get the most out of HubSpot in my newsletter on a weekly basis. Now, let's get into this automation here. So we're going to go back to the main view here in HubSpot, and then we're going to go to automation workflows. Here we're going to create a workflow from scratch, and we want this workflow to run whenever somebody submits a form on our website. So here we'll look at website and media, we'll look at form events, and then we'll click form submission. This is going to be the moving quote request. So whenever somebody submits the moving quote request form, this workflow will kick off. We're not going to add any additional conditions for now, and we will allow people to re-enroll in this form. So that means that whenever they submit that form again, they will again be enrolled in this workflow. So based on your business and how often people accidentally submit a form multiple times, you might want to build in a couple of checks in here to make sure that we don't get too many duplicate deals basically. So let's give this workflow a name, and we'll just call this internal process new moving quote request. requests. Save that. So now we can choose what we want to happen when this form gets submitted. So as soon as the form gets submitted, HubSpot will automatically already create a contact record in the system. So that's one thing that's already in place. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create that deal record as well. Also, depending on your business and if, for example, you would get a lot of submissions from leads that might not be qualified yet, you might want to create a lead object first and then move to a deal record later. But for simplicity's sake, I just want to stick to the deal record for this video. So we're going to click on CRM and then create record here. Then we're going to choose deal. We'll say assign this to an existing owner of a contact, and we'll make sure that we assign the contact in a moment. So we'll choose the contact owner here. Then for the deal name, I want to use the first name and then the last name for our contacts. Then I want to be descriptive. So I'm going to say move from to, and we're going to add moving to here. So then we're going to get a pretty descriptive deal name already. We'll just add this. Let's see. I really have like way too many pipelines in here. But let's just go for a simple sales pipeline here. And let's say in this case, we want to create this deal. Well, we wanted to create a pipeline specifically for moving requests. That's something that I have not set up right now, but let's just pretend that appointment scheduled here is quote requested instead. So that would be quote requested. The close date for this. So here we can choose what the close date would typically be for this deal. So you want to look at your business and see how long it usually takes for you to close a deal from the moment that they request a quote. So let's say that on average first this is 30 days. So I'm going to enter that here. And then if we already have an estimate for what the deal amount would be, we could add that here as well. And also if we created the necessary properties for our deals, which I also haven't done yet, we could copy those right here as well. And actually I do want to show those things. So I'm gonna go back for a moment. This will be saved for now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to our object, I'm gonna go to our contact, and I'm gonna copy a couple of these properties that we just added from the contact to the deal as well, because these are deal properties that we're gonna need. So we're gonna choose the expected move date, and we're gonna say we want to clone this, and we're gonna clone this to the deal records. So we're gonna do it like this. Let's just for simplicity's sake keep this on deal information. The field type and everything will be the same. So we're gonna do it like this. Then the next one is gonna be moving from. I'm gonna clone that to our deal as well. And then for moving to, we're gonna do the same thing. There we go. And then we basically have all the information that we need. Well, actually, the message would also be a good one. So let me do that a little bit different here, because we don't have a message on deal, but we can create a property that will just tell us additional move information. Gonna add that in here. The field type is gonna be multi-line text, and we're gonna create that. And now we're ready to go back to our workflow. It's gonna be a little bit longer of a video, but I hope this is really helpful. We're gonna go to our record that we were creating. This is still in place. We do need to re-enter this information, fortunately. Let me quickly do that. So now we're gonna copy those properties that we have. So here we're also gonna add, let's first do the expected move date, and we're gonna copy that to our expected move date on the deal. So that's all set. Then we're gonna do the same thing here, moving from, copy that to moving from, there we go. Then the same thing from moving to, and then we also want to copy that message to the additional move information. So now all of that information that was entered in the form will automatically be copied to the deal. So it's immediately available whenever somebody's working on the deal as well, which is really helpful. Then here, this is the association. So we're going to associate, well, we don't really need the associated company, because for moving, we're gonna assume that most of them will just be contact based. So the contact in this workflow will already be enrolled, will already be associated to the deal better. So that's what we want here. If there's any specific line items that you have for moving quotes, you could select these here as well. But for now, we're just gonna leave that empty and we're gonna save this. Now, as you just saw, we are assigning this to a contact owner, but we haven't really chosen our contact owner yet. So before we create this record, we do want to rotate to the right contact owner. So here we're going to go to CRM, and then we're going to look for rotate records to owner. And this is where you can choose how an owner gets assigned. So let me show you one thing here that you could potentially do. So you could add a range property, and then we can say we want to do this based on one property or action, and that is going to be our city. So, or actually, let's make it a little bit easier. This is going to be based on state. So here we have state and region. I'm going to click next. And then we could do a couple of branches based on the state or region. So for example, let's say you have a separate sales rep for New York, and you have another sales rep for Florida, and then you have another sales rep that does Connecticut, and those are your regions. You could have more regions, and then we could add more options here. But for now, let's say we do it like this. Then we can save this. We will move all of these to the New York branch, and now we can choose a rep based on each of these options. So let's say for New York, we want to rotate our owner, and then you can choose the specific users. And here I only have my own name, but if you have certain users here or certain teams, you can select those for each of these locations. So for now, I'm just gonna select myself here. So what this is gonna do is that whenever somebody submits a form, that contact is from New York, that will automatically get assigned to me, and then this deal will get created. Now, that gets assigned, the deal gets created. I will get a notification for these by default if I still have my default settings in HubSpot. But if we want to be sure and it also adds a task to that to kick things off, we can do that as well. So here we'll click this plus sign again. We'll go to CRM and we're going to create this task. So here we want to add follow up with, and then we can add the first name again. Let's also add the last name regarding their quotes requests. Let's say that we want to do our follow-ups through a phone call always, so we'll make this a call type. We do want to have that due immediately, and if we want, we can add some more information in here. But in general, when they open it up in HubSpot, they will have all of the information in the deal right there. So I don't think the nodes here are really necessary. We'll select to assign this to an existing owner. So this is aligned with what we have here. And we're going to say that this task is a high priority. So now that we have this all in place, I'll also show you how you could easily add this to the other ones as well. So I'll do one more just as an example, but obviously you want to do this for all of the different branches that you have here. So let's say I'm selecting a different person here. If you don't want to copy all of this information every time, you can just click here and then say go to action, and then just direct them to that first flow again, so that after that the record will get created, the deal record will get created, and that task will get created. Now, another thing is we might want to send a little confirmation email as well. So let me actually quickly show you how to handle that. Let me first make sure that this is all properly saved, so that looks good. When you want to do a quick confirmation email, and I do want to show you how this works. So we're going to click create email here. That's going to be an automated email. We are going to start from scratch, and then we can start creating our email here. So we're going to add this text block, and we're going to say hi, and then the first name. Well, it says a fallback value here for if we wouldn't know the first name, but in this case, we would always know the first name. So we can always say hi, dear customer, but basically it will always be the first name. Thank you for your quote requests. And then another cool thing, since we have assigned the owner at the time that we sent this email, we can now look at the contact and then the owner, and we do have the name here as well. So we're going to say contact owner first name, fallback value or customer service will reach out to soon to create your personalized moving quotes. So we're just gonna do something simple like this for now. I do need to add the subject line through this. It's always fun, like HubSpot changes these things sometimes, and they did just add a new layout for the emails. Once you get used to it, I think it's better for most people because it looks actually like a normal email window. But now we add the subject line here. One cool thing also is HubSpot does use a lot of AI. So when we click on generate here, it will generate a couple of subject line options for me based on the information in this email. So here we can do thank you for your quote request or get your personalized move. Let's do more like this because I actually want to put the first name. Let's do this one, exciting news for your move. Sounds like a fun one. So we'll add that in there. I'm not going to bother with the preview text for now. Usually you want to add that in as well. But to not make this video too long, we're going to publish this. And then we're going to go back to our workflow where we're going to add this email now. So we'll go back to automation and then workflows. And right here in our workflow, we're going to add this automated email. So we're going to say send email. And this email is going to be, oh, I forgot to give it a name. It's this one, new email. When we hover over it, we will see that that's actually, that's the email that we just created. Always name these emails because obviously like you're going to have a hard time finding them. But that was my bad. I forgot about that. So this email will be sent to the enrolled contact. We're going to save this. And that's basically it for our workflow here. And what this does is whenever a quote request comes in, things will basically just go on autopilot. The quote requests form gets submitted here. We're going to branch off based on the state. We're going to assign the owner. We're going to create that deal and assign the owner to that deal. Then we're going to create a task for this deal owner. And we're going to send an automated email to the person that just submitted the quote request. And this is everything that we need. Hi, this is Jasper from the future. As we were editing this video, I realized that we did not show everything in action. So I want to fix that right here. Let's just quickly fill out this form and then we can see how all of this looks. Oh, and here you can also see that when the email address is not correct, you do get a little notification for that. So let's just do a random number here. Then the expected move date, we get a nice calendar that we can pick from. Let's say we're moving in like 2 weeks. We're moving from New York to Miami. Seems to be a popular move, especially in the winter time. And then for the state, I'm also going to say New York here. All right, so now we're going to click on request quote, and now I'm going to show you what happens behind the scenes. So when we go to contacts here, you can see that I created a tab called moving quote requests, and that's one of the cool things we can do in HubSpot. Here in the filters, you can see that I filtered on the people who submitted the moving quote request. So that's one thing. And then when we go to the contact, here we will see that we have this task that has been assigned to me to follow up regarding that quote request. You can see that phone number here came through as well. And then here you can also see that the moving deal has been created. So when we go to that deal here we can see the information that has been filled out. So we have my name moving from New York to Miami. That's linked to that contact. One thing we can do here additionally is we can also add those different like moving properties that we created. I haven't done that here yet, but here, for example, you can see the moving from and moving to, which is something like for the moving company, obviously, we want this to be in here. So we can say moving from, moving to, expected move dates. Oh, and then we'll also add in the additional move information. Now, when we save this, you will see that here on the left side, whenever you look up a specific contact in the system, you get all of that information right here. So yeah, just quickly wanted to show you how all of this works. And it also gets assigned to me. So I get notifications for that. As you can see here in the bell icon, I have those tasks that have been assigned to me. So that all works automatically the moment somebody submits a form. Now, this is a really cool workflow already, and this will help you get started on any of these quote requests. The next cool thing is that once those deals get to closed won, we can actually also automate that entire workflow. That's what I'm going to show you in the next video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see that video as well. And I'll show you exactly how we automate the full process from closed won to actually organizing that move within the business and making sure that everyone has the right information. If you want to see that next video, click right here and we'll take you right there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.